You have booked science already?
Okay. Homework today.
All right, so are you ready, students? You can start. Yeah. Okay. All right, so today we are going to talk about the moon on page number 139. 139. So you already remember what we talk about in this unit. We talk about different planets. So can anyone tell me how many planets we have in our solar system? Do you guys remember?
Eight.
8. Very good. So we got 8 planets in our solar system. So we already talked about those. Those were all and apart from that, today we have 3 different topics: dwarf planets, the moon, and comets. Today we are going to talk about it. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, we are going to talk about dwarf planets. So what do we mean by dwarf planets? So dwarf planets are another kind of planets in the solar system, which is different from the ones we talk about, the 8 major planets. So they are actually another type of or another kind of planets in our solar system. So they also orbit around the sun, right? They have enough mass, so they have their own gravity, right? And they are spherical in shape. So you know the spherical in shape. The spherical shape, it's like a spire, like a half round, right? Like a half round shape. So that is spherical shape. And but actually they cannot control the gravity or the orbit of the object around them. So actually we have 3 different types of dwarf planets, which are Pluto, Ceres, and Eris. So these are actually 3 types of dwarf planets. Okay, so what is the shape of the dwarf planets? The shape of the dwarf planets are spherical, right? It's like a half rounded spherical shape, right? And how many of them we have? We have 3 types, right? So there are 3 dwarf planets. One is Pluto, Ceres, and Eris. So these are the 3 dwarf planets, right? So this actually, the dwarf planets are also in our solar system, right? So these are actually the 3 different types of dwarf planets. All right, now comes toward the moon. So moon, moon is actually also exists in our orbit, right? So the Earth has one satellite, the moon. So moon is actually the satellite of the Earth, right? How much is the distance? The distance of the moon from the Earth is 3.84 kilometers. 3.84 million kilometers, right? The diameter of the moon is 3,476 kilometers. How much is the diameter of the moon 3,476 kilometers. And the orbital speed is how much? 10.1 kilometer per second. All right, so that's the orbit, like the whole orbit, while it rotate around, the speed of that is 10.1 kilometer per second. Okay, and the moon also, the moon can move in 3 different ways. So the moon, all of us, we know, like the moon actually it move, right? So they move actually in 3 different ways. Number 1, move around itself, which is equal to orbital time around the Earth, 27 days, 27 days. Second one is it orbit around the Earth, and the third movement is orbit around the sun. Okay, so the moon actually it can move in 3 ways. All right, first one is the move itself. It moves around itself, and it is actually equal to orbital time around the Earth 27 1/3 days. Second one, it orbit around the Earth. The third movement of the moon is orbit around the sun. Okay, so we have to remember the speed. What is the orbital speed? So the orbital speed is 10.1 kilometer per second. All right. Another information, how much is the distance? How much is the distance between the moon and the Earth? The distance between the moon and the Earth is 3.84 million kilometers, right? And the diameter of the moon is 3,476 kilometers. So these are some of the basic information you have to remember, okay? And the moon actually movement is actually in 3 ways, all right? One, it actually move around itself. Second one, it move around the Earth. Third movement is it orbit around the sun. So the orbit around the sun, orbit around the moon, orbit around the Earth, and move around itself. So these are actually 3 different movement of the moon. So the moon orbit around the Earth, moves around the Earth in the same direction as the rotation of the Earth. That is an anti-clockwise. So all of us, we know, like while the Earth actually it rotates, so it rotates in anti-clockwise. So exactly similar, the moon also rotates in anti-clockwise, right? However, one rotation of the Earth take 24 hours, while the moon take 27.3 days to orbit the Earth. So we already talked about the planet Earth. The whole rotation, it takes 24 hours, which we call in a simple words like the one whole day. So it's 24 hours, but moon actually it take 27.3 days. So it is a bit shorter, right? So that's actually a bit longer, nearly a month, but a little bit lesser than a month, 27.3 days to orbit the Earth. So this make the moon appear in the same location about 50 minutes later each day. So, all right, students, now let me ask from you, how much is the moon far from the Earth? Can you tell me?
3.84 million kilometers.
Very good. The distance between the moon and the Earth is 3.84 million kilometers. And what is the orbit speed? What is the orbit speed?
Speed is 1 kilometer.
Very good. 10.1 kilometer, but don't forget per second. Okay, 10.1 kilometer per second. All right, and how much is the diameter of the moon in kilometers?
Three 3,476 kilometers.
The diameter of the moon is 3,476 kilometer. And how about the moon movement? Moon can move in how many ways? And how many ways the moon can move? The movement of the moon in how many ways?
27.
3 ways, right? So the first one is it moves around itself. Second one is orbit around the earth. Third, orbit around the sun. Very good. Okay, so the whole rotation of the moon, it takes how long, how many days to orbit the earth?
27.3 days.
Very good. 27.3 days to orbit the earth. And how long the earth rotation take to complete the whole rotation?
24 hours.
Very good. 24 hours. Excellent. So these are some of the basic information you have to remember. Okay, very good.
Excuse me, teacher.
Right.
Yeah. Nana Achi Tonkra. Keep turn on your camera, please. Okay, and student, attention to teacher. No play everything. Matum. Sit tight and attention to teacher. Okay, teacher.
Okay. All right. So now we are going towards our another topic. Our next topic is asteroids. So what is mean by asteroids? So in our whole universe, actually, we do have some of the small objects, right? So those small objects in our solar system, those are actually asteroids, right? So there are actually various size, there are various form, right? So this, their size varies from 10 meters to hundreds of kilometers. The size of each asteroid, actually, they are different. It can be minimum is like 10 meters, and also it can be maximum more than hundreds of kilometers. So what is the biggest size? The biggest asteroid is Ceres. That's the name of that, Ceres. So which is 1,000 kilometer in diameter. That is one of the biggest asteroids, right? But apart from that, some of the scientists actually, they still believe that there are more than 500,000 asteroids that are bigger than 1.6 kilometers. So the biggest asteroid is, what is the name of that? The name of that is Ceres, right? And how many we have? How many more asteroids we have? Scientists believe we do have more than 500,000, like 500,000, and they are actually quite bigger. So they are bigger than 1.6 kilometers. Although there are a lot of asteroids, if we combine the mass, if we combine the mass of all asteroids, it is still only 1,000 of the mass of the Earth. Like the entire asteroids what we have in our solar system, if we combine all together, join all together, so they are still 100 times of the mass of the Earth. Okay, and asteroids actually orbit between the orbital space of Mars and Jupiter. So most of these asteroids, actually, we already talked about the orbit of each planet in our previous classes, right? So these asteroids actually, they orbit in between. They orbit in between planet in the space of planet Mars and Jupiter. Okay, students, you understand that? What do we mean by asteroids? So they are actually small objects. These are the small objects in our solar systems, and they are actually in different sizes. So the biggest one, what is the name of that? The biggest one is Ceres, right? Asteroid is Ceres, and which is 1,000 kilometer in diameter. But we do have many more of them, as much as 500,000, like 500,000, right? And they're all bigger than 1.6 kilometers. Okay, and where actually it orbits? It orbits in the space, orbital space of Mars and Jupiter. All right. Okay, so now let me ask from you, what do we mean by asteroids? Can anyone tell me now? What do we mean by asteroids?
1,000 kilometers.
No, what do we mean? What is asteroids? They are They are the small objects. They are the small objects in our solar systems. All right. And how many of them we have in our solar system? Approximately how many of asteroids we have in our solar system? Over 500,000, like 500,000, right? We're 500,000. And where actually it orbit? Where does the asteroids orbit? It orbit between the orbital space of Mars and Jupiter. Okay, so these are some of the basic information about asteroids. It's quite simple. This is actually those are all the smaller objects, right, which actually exist in our solar system, right, and in orbit in the orbital space of Mars and Jupiter. We do have like more than 500,000 of different sizes of asteroids, right? And which one is the bigger one? The bigger one is 1.6 kilometers. Okay, so these are some of the basic information you have to remember. All right, now we're gonna move toward comets, right? So what is comets actually? So comets are objects in the space. Like the entire space, they do have some of the objects. So those objects, we call it, we call those, all right. We call those objects actually comets. So they are actually, how do they made from? They are made of dust, ice, and gas. So these comets are actually made from dust, ice, and gas, different type of gases in our space, right? So they also orbit, comets also orbit, they orbit in an oval shape, as you can see here in the picture. Like this is the oval shape, right? Like an egg shape, let's say like that. It's actually the oval shape. So while they orbit, like the most of our planet, like 8 planets, what we already talked about in the previous class, that all of our planets actually, they orbit in a round shape around the sun, around our solar system. But actually comets, they orbit in the oval shape, as you can see here in the picture. This is how they orbit around the sun, in the oval shape. So a comet's tail or the coma will be invisible when it is far away from the sun. When a comet passes close to the sun, it will heat up and begin out the gas. So the coma become visible. As you can see here, the coma, the shape of that, first of all, they orbit around the sun in an oval shape, right? And then the shape of that, it's having like a tail. You can see here, like a tail. So that's actually while they releases the gas, while it actually heat up, because of the high heat, actually it start to begin the out gas. So the gas actually it being released from that. So the tail will move in an opposite way to the sun. The coma consists of dust, gas, and change particles. So actually the entire concept of the comets, actually it's made from dust and gas along with ice, which actually exist in our space. All right, let me ask from you now. What is comet? What do we mean by comets? Who is going to answer me? Comets are objects in the space, and they are made of dust, ice, and gas. Actually, what is it made from? It made from dust, ice, and gas. All right, and they also orbit. But what is the shape of orbit? Can you tell me? Anyone can answer me? In which shape the comets orbit around the sun? Look at the shape. What shape it is?
Oval.
Very good.
Shape.
Excellent. Oval shape. The rest of the planets, actually, it orbit in a round shape, right? And the comets, actually, it orbit in oval shape. Okay, it's very simple. You just remember that. All right. And just remember, what is it made from? What is made of? So it's made of dust, ice, and gases. Okay. So the coma actually consists of dust, gas, and change particles, right? And actually the tail will move in an opposite way to the sun. As you can see here, the picture, as you can see here, right here, the tail of the comets, actually, it moves towards opposite. Like on this side, we're having the sun, right? But the tail, actually, it moves in the opposite way. Yeah. So that's the shape of the comets, all right? All right. So now meteors, right? So what do we mean by meteors? So meteors are actually the bright flash, like a bright flash that look like stars falling from the skies. So meteors are dust or stones in a space that hit the earth and turn into fire. Like maybe sometime if you have experience as well, especially in the night time, when they're having lots of stars. So maybe you find some of the stars like it move very fast, and you will find like a bright flash. So that is actually we call, what do we call that? We call that meteors, right? So what is, how it come in existence? So actually the existence of that is it's the dust or stones in the space that hit the earth and turn into a fireballs, right? And they're having the high speed. So the speed of the object that hit the earth and become meteors is 15 kilometers per second. 15 kilometers per second is the speed of that. So meteors burn is they enter the atmosphere because of the friction. Objects that travel into the Earth's atmosphere and become meteors will vapors at 100 kilometers from the ground. However, if the object size is big, some particles will fall to the Earth's surface, which is known as meteorite. So how do it become in existence? So it become in existence because of the dust and stones in the space, right? And actually, while they're having a high speed, right? So how much is the speed of that? 15 kilometers per second. And it burn up as they enter the atmosphere because of the friction. So maybe you can find it looked like a falling stars, like it looked like a stars, right? And star seems to be like a falling. Sometimes some of the particles, it can also drop on the earth surface. As you can see here in the picture, right? This is how it look. As you can see here, this is how it look. So you will find it's like a meteor shower. It looked like a stars, right? And you will see like a stars, like a falling. This is how it look. Have you ever seen them, students? Have you ever seen like a falling star? While you look up to the sky and they're having like a star, it's like a falling. Have you ever experienced? Students, do you have any experience? Have you ever seen a falling star?
Yes.
All right, so that's what we call meteor. Right. So actually a meteor shower is a phenomena where meteors form more frequently than usual, and the direction of the meteor are from the same position in the sky. So from the position while in the sky, actually it's falling down. It's the same position and the direction is it usually had, right? So there are about 10,000 meteor shower each year. Each year we having approximately 10,000, or let's say more or lesser than 10,000 meteor shower each single year, right? And it is actually formed from the line of dust from a comet when it orbits close to the sun. When the earth orbits around the sun, it will move through the dust, right? So when the earth orbits around the sun, it will move through the dust due to the fact that that this line of the dust orbits around the sun. We can see the meteors come from same position, which are called radiance, right? This is what we call radiance. So it seems like a shower, right, from the sky, like a falling stars, And how much is the quantity of that per year? Approximately more than 1,000, right, each year. All right, so now we're gonna come towards the learning activity. So we talk about these 8 planets, right? So here we have some of the questions, right? So what we have to match. So each planet, actually, they do have some of the nicknames. We already talked about it, okay? So I'm going to ask from you now. First of all, look at the nicknames. So the first one we have Giant Planet. Second, Frozen Fireplace. Third, War Planet, the War Planet. Number 4, the God of Agriculture. Number 5, Morning Star, Morning Star and Evening Star. And last one, the Ocean Planet. Okay, now we have to match all of these nicknames with the 6 planets. Okay, so let me ask from you, what you think? Number 1, Mercury. Mercury, what is the nickname of Mercury? Who is going to answer me? What is the nickname of?
The Frozen Fireplace.
Very good. Excellent. The Frozen Fireplace. How about the Venus?
The War Planet.
No. Morning Star and Evening Star. If you go to each topic, each planet, you will find there the nicknames of each and every planet. How about the Earth? What is the nickname of the Earth?
The Ocean Planet.
The Ocean Planet. Very good. Okay, number 4. How about the Mars? What is the nickname of the Mars?
The War Planet.
Again, please.
The War Planet.
The War Planet. Excellent. Now, how about Jupiter? Jupiter. The giant planet. Why we call the giant planet? Because the bigger planet. Yes.
The giant, right? Giant planet, right?
Giant planet, yeah, giant planet.
Giant. Okay.
All right. How about the Saturn? What is the nickname of the Saturn? Louder, please. The god of agriculture. Agriculture. Very good. Okay, now we are going to write down the names of each planet in order. Okay, starting with the planet that is the closest to the sun and ending with the furthest, right? So we are going to write down 1 until 8, all of the planets, what we have, and we already talk about like how close it is to the sun, and then the most further, the farthest from the sun. So which planet is the closest, number 1, to the sun? Do you remember? The closest planet to the sun. The closest planet to the sun is Mercury. Next to the Mercury, which one is the closest? Anyone? Again, please.
Venus.
Venus, very good. Venus is second closest planet to the sun. How about the third planet?
Earth.
Earth, where we live. Very good. So Earth is the third closest planet. How about the fourth planet?
Mars.
Mars, very good. Number 5. Jupiter, very good. Now, number 6.
Saturn.
Saturn. Saturn is the sixth closest planet to the solar system. How about the second last? Which one is the second last? Seventh planet.
Uranus.
Uranus. Very good. And which one is the more far?
Neptune.
Neptune. Very good. Number 7 is Uranus. And the far planet is Neptune. Very good. So these are actually from close to further, from far away from the sun. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna move toward, look at the planet in the solar system. Okay. So now can you tell me, look at the orbital solar system. What is the name of this planet close to the sun?
Mercury.
Mercury. Excellent. Okay, how about the second orbit?
Student, answer please.
How about the second planet?
Mercury.
First one is Mercury, right? In the second orbit, in the second ring.
Venus.
Venus. Very good. How about the third one? In the third ring?
Earth.
Earth. Very good. Then come to the fourth ring.
Mars.
Mars. Very good. How about the fifth ring?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. Very good. And how about with the ring?
Saturn.
Saturn. Excellent. And the seventh ring?
Uranus.
Uranus. And how about the last one?
Neptune.
Neptune. Very good. Excellent. So these are actually our 8 planets, right? So as you can see, from close to far, closest is Mercury, second Venus, third Earth.